Hi, I'm Connor, and I'm the director of From the Dark.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm the cinematographer.
And I'm Neve Alger, and I play Sarah in the film.
Well, I think a lot of the films I'd done previously were comedy horrors, so the focus was very much on jokes and gags and over the top death scenes. So I think just personally, I just wanted to try something different, to try something that was a bit more suspenseful and tense and try and do some scares. Because with Stitches, the whole idea was just on the jokes, it was never to make the character particularly scary. So it was just, I guess, just because I'm into horror, so I kind of like all kinds of horror movies. So the more different kinds of horror films I can make, the better. So yeah, I think this was something that it began as a little idea that I had, and I was just workshopping in an acting. There's an acting school in Dublin that Neve was in, and so it began just with like some improvisations that we were doing, and then I wrote a script, and then I came back and did auditions, and yeah, Neve sent an audition tape in, and she actually had went to a, like, sometimes people just do a tape against the wall, but she'd like gotten into a car and done the whole scene in it, but it was really good. Like, so I think once we got that, yes, it was just like, yeah, she was
Yeah, actually,
perfect.
what happened on that day is it's the factory in Dublin is the place where it's kind of like there's an actor's studio, and it was like one of the days that it's actually closed. And I was like, I was sick for the audition, and then I decided, okay, I need to get in and tape this audition. So I had another actor buddy with me, and we went to the factory and it was closed. So I was sitting in my car and I was like, fuck. And then I was like talking to Cal, and he was like, it's set in a car. The scene is set in a car. So I just got like my camera and put it on the dashboard. But it turned out really good.
Yeah. Also, that wasn't a creative decision. It was
Yeah. It,
and there I was.
it was a lucky accident. Yeah, actually, Sarah is pretty close to me, really. Um, when I read the script, it was kind of I liked how hands on it was, and I knew that just from workshopping with Connor that he's not afraid to let you get really kind of in the thick of it, into the dirt and stuff.
Go
So
run through that.
yeah, run through that, put a spider on your face. So
But I could tell, but it was definitely the kind of part that if somebody wasn't willing to push themselves, it wouldn't have worked. Like, so it was like, I think it was like the second day, and to run through this muddy puddle thing with a lamp, like an oil lamp, and she just ran through it and fell over and
yeah,
got something. And I was like, oh, cool, this is gonna work
yeah.
out.
There was a lot of scenes like that where we had kind of free stunts. There was like that one scene where I come running out of the house and I jam it closed and I fall backwards, but you just keep going. You have to stay in the moment. So
I say like about towards the end of the shoot, we had to pick up a day from the very start, and they had to spend so long covering all the bruises with makeup and cuts. She'd like burn, you know.
From the start, we agreed that we'd go pretty dark with it and kind of use the great concept at the center of the script, which kind of wrote was that, that the characters keep the creature away using light. So the light sources were really our source of light in the film. We wanted to keep that naturalistic and real so that the film would feel real. But for our nighttime exteriors, for example, we found out that there was a big supermoon coming up. I don't know if you heard about the supermoon that was over the Earth recently, but we scheduled all our nighttime exteriors on full moon of supermoon. So that meant we had the little bit of help from that, and then we built in on top of that as well. So we kind of just used what we could in the environment with scheduling, just anything we could in our, to try and keep it as natural and as raw as possible.
For me, I see. I got into horror fairly late because I wasn't allowed to watch any horror films when I was a kid. I think I saw RoboCop when that was the only one, and only because my uncle, he said, told my mother that it was just the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, and she said, "Oh, okay, you can watch that RoboCop." But aside from that, I hadn't seen a lot. So then I think when I was 16, I saw Evil Dead 2 was the first one, and then it was the first time I'd seen horror and comedy mixed together, and that kind of just totally blew my mind. And then close to that, I saw Bad Taste, the Peter Jackson movie, and I think when I saw both those movies, it's just like I just started to try and replicate that in little short films that I'd done. And I had a friend, Ed King, who runs a horror festival in Dublin. And when I met up with him, he sort of introduced me to all these other crazy horror movies that I'd never even heard of, like, stuff like Phantasm or any of these movies that would be kind of off the radar. And so, yeah, I kind of went from there. But I think the fact that I didn't see them when I was a kid made it all the more, like, the minute, you know what I mean? The minute I could see them all, I just was trying to watch everything,
Well, I think I was the opposite because my dad was a big horror fan, and he kind of encouraged us to kind of watch the kind of like horrors and stuff with him when we were kids, just so he could basically scare the crap out of us. So yeah, like one of my favorite horrors would be like Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, and I watched I loved like Grudge and Ring and kind of the on that side of it. So yeah, Michael.
I was I have an older sister, and she had a friend who was older than her, and we had another friend who was older again. So I was the junior member of this kind of horror cult from the age of about 6. So I started watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead at the age of about 7. So when I meet my nieces now and see the films they watch, and when I know what I watched when I was 6 or 7 years old, I can't believe I'm remotely normal. I watched a serious amount of horror films from the age of about 6 onwards, and was massively hooked. Actually, when Connor and I met in college, we were like, I don't know, there weren't that many people who were mad into horror films, but we were both able to go, "Oh yeah, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this?" So that was really nice.